Shabbat Shalom, my friends, and Chag Samayach. Sometimes I have to admit the Hebrew calendar can be just a bit too difficult to understand. And some would say that this season is one of those times when it's hard to understand the calendar. Observing the fullness of Sukkot can be richly rewarding, but also strangely confusing. Now, we all know that Sukkot is one of the three major pilgrimage festivals, the Chagim, mentioned in the Torah. The other two being Pesach, Passover, Shavuot. Sukkot itself began this year on Friday evening, September 29th, and ends at sundown Saturday evening, October 7th. You with me? So far, so good. The last day of Sukkot is known as Hoshana Rabba. During services, the Torah scrolls are removed from the ark and processed 7 times around the bima. Those not holding Torah scrolls march with the Torah scrolls, but they're holding lulav and etrog. And at the end of the 7 circuits, what do? They start beating the Lulavim on the floor, celebrating the fact that sin has been eliminated. Everyone is singing Hoshanot, Hosanna, the word from Hebrew Hoshana, calling out to God, save us. Everybody is singing. The gates that we proclaimed as closing at the end of Ne'ilah, at the end of Yom Kippur, they weren't really closing, but they close now, at this moment. The divine verdict has been rendered. Our prayers will be responded to one way or the other. We also begin to insert the phrase Mashiva Rocha Marita Gasham into our regular services. One who makes the wind blow and brings down the rain. It is a typical fall rain blessing. We start now, and when do we end? First day of Pesach. Very, very good. When winter is all over. So far, so good. But is Sukkot really over now? Of course it is. Sort of. Outside of Israel, what is known as the diaspora, we may eat in the Sukkah for an additional day, but we don't have to. On the holiday of what is known 2 days, Shmini Atzerret, Simchat Torah, so-called 8th and 9th days of Sukkot. Shmini Atzerret and then Simchat Torah is actually combined, a 2-day event, a festival on its own, not a festival to the same level as Pesach, Sukkot, Shavuot, but a festival without many of those restrictions that would normally be attached to a full festival. So therefore, Shmini Atzerret, Simchat Torah is a festival, sort of, just like Sukkot is over, sort of. I'd like to share with you a Hasidic teaching about Simchat Torah. It's just sweet. It's a very nice little story. It goes as follows. On Simchat Torah, we dance with our feet, but not with our heads. We are celebrating the Torah on Simchat Torah, and the Torah is something we study with our heads. But we dance with our feet this day, not with our heads. If we would dance with our heads, each one would dance a different dance, each in a different space. Some with friends, some not with friends, not with others, some just as lonesome souls. One head is higher, one is lower, one is here on earth. One has heads up in the clouds or beyond. Some minds know only their own space, something that no one else can know. But on Simchat Torah, this little story ends. We dance with our feet, not with our heads. And all our feet are here on the same earth. None higher, none lower. So now we can dance as one, with one heart, as a single being. And now on Simchat Torah, there is no loneliness, only joy. End of story. I liked it. To help matters become even more confusing, the Torah reading this Saturday morning in traditional synagogues is, God forbid, not the same Torah reading as found in liberal synagogues on the same day. Traditional synagogues will read Numbers 29, 35 and following, that speaks about Shmini Atzerret, and add Deuteronomy 14, 22 and following, that speaks about caring for the poor and a bunch of other things. Liberal synagogues will read Saturday morning, Friday evening, the end of Deuteronomy and the beginning of Genesis, because the liberal synagogues will focus on the Simchat Torah part of the 2-day Shmini Atzerret Simchat Torah observance, and not on the Shmini Atzerret. Traditional congregations will function with both. Are you confused? Good. Now we can continue. So, what are our takeaways? Now that the season that began with Rosh Hashanah and is finally, firmly, formally concluded, here are just some of my takeaways. One takeaway would be what I would call the pillars of love. Love for God, love for Torah, and love for our world and all that dwells in it. 3, love for God. However we understand God, as creator, or as creative force, or as the impulse for good, or as the eternal partner in our struggles, this season we are called upon to approach God however we understand God. To set aside our egos, to recalibrate our roles in a world that doesn't exist just for us and that desperately needs our embrace. We cry out to God in this season, and we know with total certainty that God will respond to us and to our tears, because we are bound to God with love. And we know that we need God even as God needs us. Even in the depths of all of our al-chets, we know that forgiveness awaits a broken heart, because love is never gone, even in the darkest of our moments, the first of the trilogy, love for God. Then there is love for Torah. That's what Simchat Torah is all about. As we dance with our beloved in times of joy, so do we dance with Torah, because she is our life and the length of our days. However we understand Torah, as divinely dictated, as edited by multiple hands over hundreds of years, as a document that in so many ways reflects its origins positively and negatively within a Middle Eastern literature created 3 millennia ago. Torah is the firm, unchanging foundation of our values, our self-understanding, our dreams, and our yearnings. We have died for Torah. We live for Torah. We build our lives in the reflections of Torah's light. This not only is the Torah given to us by God through Moses, it is the distillation of incomparable wisdom. It is alive in ways that nothing else is. even when we turn away from it, our second pillar of love. The third, love for God, love for Torah, and love for our world and all who inhabit it. We beat the ground with willows as we pray for rain. We celebrate Earth's abundance as we absorb the demand to treat the earth with respect and ever vigilant concern, and while dancing with our feet. We never abandon our passionate concern for the poor, the needy, the suffering, the frightened, the threatened, the diminished, and the ignored who live outside the walls of our celebrations. Every one of our celebrations, my friends, every one comes burdened with obligations. The freedom earned by escaping from Egypt cannot ever be separated from the obligation to bring a better life to other people, to creatures great and small, and to the very soil and air of our planet. Think of the journey we have been on. The New Year, the 10 days of penitence, the Day of Atonement, the insecurity of Sukkot, the cautions of Ecclesiastes, the renewal of the rain, the joy of tradition. It has been a journey of love. Love of God, love of Torah, love of our world. May it ever be so. Shabbat Shalom, my friends, and may 5784 be a source of endless blessings for us all. See you next week.